that said, I want to welcome everybody and I'll take the first question. Let's see what questions you have so that I can help answer them. Lena, is that you? Do you have a question?
Not really. I just got on to just to listen. I think it's
Okay.
time I'll get back on.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. If anybody has anything that they want to share, any successes that they have, or deals that they're doing, feel free to share that to inspire others as well. So, who has a question? See, Bill, you're on the call. Do you have any questions? Well, it might be a short night tonight if no one has any questions for us. Who else is on the call that might want to get some talk about a deal or have any questions about what's going on, marketing, anything? Reb, how about you?
Not really, but how do you market on a pre-foreclosure um, homeowners?
What was the question, Reb?
It's the how do you market with the uh, pre-foreclosure
How do you
homeowners?
how do you market to foreclosures? How do you find pre-foreclosures?
I found one, but they are on the pre-foreclosure. But how do you market? How do you send them a letter, or what is the best way?
Okay. The best way to reach pre-foreclosures is obviously to send them letters, multiple letters. You don't want to just send one. You want to send a sequence if it's on a pre-foreclosure. And also you can skip trace the number and try to call them. So pre-foreclosures often don't want to act immediately, depending on how long it takes for your state for banks to foreclose in your state. So if you're in a state that forecloses pretty quickly, then you would want to contact them more often. But I would suggest that you send a series of letters, maybe once a week, until they contact you or they have foreclosed. And so if you're going to send to market to pre-foreclosures, you want to be committed to that follow-up. And then obviously to call them as well. So that is one that you definitely want to commit to a series of letters and communications with them and not just plan on calling them just one time. Does that answer your question, Reb, or you have more
Yes.
specific questions regarding that?
Yeah, I'm just they are already in the foreclosure process, so I don't want, you know, just to send them any kind of marketing.
Okay, well, so do you have Jay Connor also has a course on foreclosures? Do you have his materials?
No.
Okay. And then Ron has information in the Gold Club, I mean, in the Quick Start Manual. So you want to send them a letter, obviously, and you want to continue sending a series of letters until, again, that they've contacted you. So what state are you in?
Well, I'm here in Jax.
In Texas?
No, Jacksonville.
Oh, in Jacksonville. Okay. So as you know, Florida doesn't always, the lenders here in Florida don't always get around to foreclosing that quickly, right?
Yes.
So it might be a while. And so with that said, then the homeowner may not have as much motivation to respond right away. So therefore you want to keep in touch with them. And that's why it's not a one and done communication. So I would encourage you, that is a great list. It's very motivating list. Obviously, they are either going to have to catch up the loan or they're going to have to, they're going into foreclosure. So they're going to need to sell their house if they don't catch up the loan. So
Yeah, I know.
with that said, and you're in Florida, then that's a great list to market to, but I would also be marketing to other lists as well, because they may take a little while to get a response and to get some action from them. You would want to maybe market to a list that might have more motivation immediately. For example, if you picked a list like low equity combined with expireds, that means that they have purchased in the last few years and they tried to sell, but perhaps didn't have enough equity or didn't have enough money to pay a realtor to sell the house, and then they'd be more likely to sell on terms. Another one might be an absentee owner list that is vacant. So if you're in a state like Florida that they don't always act immediately, then that would be one for later, maybe now, and but maybe a little bit later on the follow-up. And also, other lists would be more immediate purchases.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Who else has a question?
I have.
Hey, Lucky. Good to see
Barbara.
you.
Yeah, good to see you
Hi.
too. You look great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have actually three questions. I'll be
Okay,
brief.
only three?
Only three for
Okay.
now. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe something will come up.
Okay.
If the fourth will come up, I will shoot.
Okay.
So essentially, the first question. So when I buy a house and I get that authorization to release all the information of their mortgage from the seller. So essentially, the attorney does all the process, and how I start making those payments to the seller's bank. So essentially, Ron said that essentially the seller has to, an attorney, she has to create some addendum. So the seller signs that addendum that he is okay for me make those payments directly to his bank. But how this process works, how do I know what is that? How does that work? Can you explain? Because I never done it, and you probably done it many times.
Sure. So when you go to closing, you will have all the paperwork at closing, but you'll ask the seller to complete, well, the attorney will ask the seller to complete a management letter. And that is found, I think, in the Quick Start Manual. I think the copy of it is there. If it's not, it's in the Gold Club, but I'm pretty sure it's in the Quick Start Manual. So a management letter is just simply the seller sending a letter to the bank, and the attorney can complete it. I mean, this is the form that you would give to your attorney's office to have the seller complete at closing. And then the attorney would ask the seller to complete it. And so it just says that the seller just says, "Dear bank, I have engaged a management company to start collecting the payments. Here's their contact information, and they're going to begin on such and such payment." And then therefore you send that, the seller sends that, or the attorney sends that to the mortgage company, and that's how they'll be notified that the payment will come from someone else.
So essentially, for me to make a payment to the bank, I just need to have the loan number, or how does that payment goes? Do I need to write the check, or is it better to hire escrow server and do that through them? What would you suggest, Barbara?
Well, yes, on the management letter, it will have the loan number. So the seller will have the loan number on there, and the seller will sign, because the bank's not going to do anything without authorization from the seller. And so, well, they'll take the payment, but the seller's authorizing. And then, yes, do suggest you use escrow serve, and that resource is in the back of your quick start manual with the exact place where you go, escrowserve.com or whatever it is. And so if you'll contact them ahead of time, when you are lining up your closing, you're going to use an attorney. So the seller is going to be at closing, and then you'll have, well, hopefully you do a double closing, but I mean, in other words, you already have your tenant buyer lined up, but otherwise you would, when you do have your tenant buyer lined up and you're going to have them make the payments, then you could contact escrow serve ahead of time, and they will send you a letter. And they will send a form Well, they'll send a form that the buyer will execute, just giving them permission to do an automatic deposit from their bank account. And so that's one of the forms you would have filled out at closing. The attorney can have them fill it out at closing. And then you're authorizing the payment to come directly from their bank account to an escrow service will handle it. They can collect the first mortgage, the second mortgage. They can handle the taxes, the insurance, the HOA. They can handle all those payments. And then you can explain it to your tenant buyer that's in their best interest, because then you, of course, you want to create a good credit report, right? So I believe they do report good credit, good payments, and make it look good for the buyer that it's a good credit rating, good credit. It's because they're being paid on time. So I believe it's like a $50 processing fee and something like $25 a month. And they've been in business for a really long time, probably over 15 years or so. And so that helps you because it's automatically done. And then the buyer thinks, okay, this is automatic. This is something that happens at closing anyway. And that's why it's good to have your attorney to get the forms in advance and then give them to your attorney to execute with the tenant buyer. So it just looks like part of the closing process.
Understood, Barbara. Thank you. That's when the tenant buyer is lined up. What if I don't have a tenant buyer yet? So then in that case, let's say I'm gonna make that coming up. Hopefully I will get tenant buyer, but if I won't, I'm gonna make that payment. So in that case, what I do, I just call the escrow serve, and then essentially they're gonna ask me some information that I have to fill up so they can charge my account and make that payment to the seller's account, correct?
Or you can just make the payment in the meantime. If you think that it's just a matter of a short period of time that you're going to close and then you're going to find your tenant buyer, because obviously that's what you want to do. And so you just, maybe you make that first payment, or maybe that first payment isn't even due if you use Ron's advice and say the first payment will begin in, say, the second or third month after closing. So you may have
Yeah,
a tenant buyer lined up by then. That's what I'd suggest. So it doesn't just complicate things.
understood. It's gonna be a little bit hard. I wanted to do that, but the guy is VA and they're not getting paid right now. So so that's an issue. So I'm probably gonna make that payment, the next coming payment in January.
Yeah, so if it's just that one payment, like I said, I would probably just send a check. It probably wouldn't be a problem that you're sending a check and you have the loan information on there and such.
So
You've
basically,
got to,
check to the seller's bank and just put the loan number on the at the bottom of the check, and that should be okay.
well, I don't know if they have a payment coupon or how they do it, but yes, that's a good way. Find out if they have got a payment coupon that they're sending it in the payment or how they're doing it and such. So that'd be a good way to start.
Sorry, my camera shuts down. I don't know why. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. I
Yeah.
see it flashing, but back and forth, but I can still hear you okay.
And it's bugging. There's a second time on the road that starts happening. So okay, so
Hey, do you have an external webcam?
I do not have, no.
Well, see, mine was giving me a problem on my laptop. The webcam went out, so I just went and bought an external webcam. And you just hook it up, you just plug it into your computer and hook it up, and voila, it's good. So you might want to go get one of them. They're real cheap.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that because it looks like it's been last time and whatever. I'll be like this. But thank you for advice, Barbara. So essentially, with that payment, it shouldn't be a problem because I have a little bit of anxiety like how to make that payment. But okay, so
Yeah.
so basically, just the seller has to sign that he's okay for me make that payment, and it should be okay after that,
Well,
right?
they don't have to, but it's just good advice to have them send the management letters so the bank knows to expect it to come from someone else instead of them. You got a clerk on the other end. They probably don't even police that. They probably don't even acknowledge it or look at it, but on a continual basis, and that's the best thing to do to have them so that it's just handled properly. Because you got to figure it's somebody just opening an envelope or and such and making a payment, they're probably not going to scrutinize, oh, gee, this isn't coming from the same person. So I don't think it's going to be a problem on the first payment or so, but you do want to get it set up so that you curtail any problems in the future.
So essentially, the escrow company, they will ask me. They usually ask just the seller's bank and seller's loan number, and that should be it, right? For them to start making that payment from and take money from my account and pay to the seller's bank. They need very
Yes.
limited information, right, from me.
Well, recall, you're going to get an authorization to release information when you get the contract, when you go to the seller. So, and then authorization to release information, you will have the loan number and the seller's authority to have the bank give you information. Remember, that's how you're going to get their loan information and their payment information, et cetera. But yes, you can just get that from the seller, get the loan information, and make that first payment or two if you don't have your tenant buyer lined up.
Thank you. So second question, I went, essentially I asked one real estate attorney that she was recommended, and I told her that I need to look up at the closing documents before you send them to the seller if it's going to be a problem. She's like, why do you need them? I said, oh, I need because I want to make sure there is no misspelling, and I also have my senior partner, aka Ron LeGrand, to take. He said that he will take a look right at those papers, and
that is not an issue that should be questioned. That is not a problem, and it should not ever be a problem for the title company. You always want to see them ahead of time. You want to make sure they're right. You're the only one that's the advocate for you. And if they don't send it right to the seller, then I mean, it's not right. So no title company should have any problem with that. Even when a property is listed and it's an interaction with realtors and they're interacting on a buyer and seller's behalf, they always see the closing documents before they're sent to the buyer and seller. So that's not something that's unusual, and your title company shouldn't be alarmed that you requested that, and they should do that. So
yeah. Barbara, sorry to cut you off. She isn't a real estate closing attorney. She has a pretty big law firm, right? So, and she said, like, why do you need it? So for me, that was kind of odd when she didn't want to show it to me. I said, like, yes, because I want to make sure everything, the spelling is right, and we are closing to land trust. And she said, oh, you will see, we will go through all those papers before I prepare the closing documents. So we will make sure all the spelling is okay. But then, do you think she thought that I kind of questioned her professionalism, that she will make some excuse? That's why, because of her ego, she said that, or what do you think? Because it shouldn't be a problem, like you said. It's just common sense. I'm the one also who is paying for all of that, so why I cannot see those papers? So that was kind of odd for me. What's your opinion? Why did she give me that attitude? Or maybe I misunderstood something, because that was via email that conversation was held.
I have no idea why she did that. I can't answer that question for you, but you should be seeing it, and it's common to see it. And plus, you want to make sure that the packet's complete. You want to make sure that you have sent her the CYA form in there. You know what I'm talking about? The form that I'm talking about. So you want to make sure that the packet is complete. You want to make sure that all those forms that need to be sent to the seller are sent to the seller, and just as probably signing or closing for investors. And yours, everyone's unique. This is a unique form that Ron uses for his students, and she may not have ever seen that before. So it's your responsibility to make sure that what you need, the documentation that you need, is there, and she has it. And so I can't answer for her why she said that, but she probably just was questioning. I wouldn't worry about it, whether it's ego or not, but just answer matter of factly. I just want to make sure that all the paperwork is complete and that we have everything that I need as an investor to close the deal.
Yes, thank you. Because she was one of the first one who essentially responded when I asked, do you close subject to, do you do subject to lease option owner financing? And I buy into land trust and I sell on lease option. And she said, we do all of that. So she was very, very firm with her answer. So I was like, okay, so she's the right person. Okay, and then after that, I spoke with another real estate attorney, And I said, are we going to have a problem if I look up those documents before the closing, before the package goes to the seller? And she said, sure thing, not a problem. Of course you're going to look at them. So she gave me totally different attitude, like on the ease, I was like, wow, that's probably my real estate attorney, right? Barbara.
I don't think I'd worry about it too much. Lucky, maybe she just, maybe you're reading more into it that it's an ego or a problem, or she might have just asked just for a question. Maybe it's the first time you've been working with her and she just wants to know everything's right. I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it, but it's very, very common and expected for you to get back at ahead of time. And with normal closings, I mean, with this is owner financing, but even with a buyer that's getting a closing and a buyer's getting a lender, then they have to they have to get the packet to the title company. They have to have 3 days cleared to close with the lender. So they expect to have that done ahead of time. They expect to send it to you to review. So I don't know. I wouldn't read too much into it. Communicate with her matter of factly.
So thank you, because also we communicated over the email, and I don't really like it. I like it just to have a quick conversation, and get everything done. But okay, I will figure it out. Thank you, Barbara. I have my third question. That's about yellow letters, right?
Okay.
So what I do, because no one is raising their hand, so I assume no one has a question so far. That's why I'm
You're good.
asking all those
You're
questions.
important. You're a VIP.
Yeah.
You go for it.
Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate that. So essentially, talking about yellow letters. So I'm sending. I set up on Dream. Essentially, Dream gives me a couple counties, expired low equity, right? And also I set up expired over 90 days. So those sellers also have some motivation. So, and I handwritten like, some probably like 100 or 150 letters to those expired. I have actually pretty good return calls, right? It's pretty good.
Response?
Oh yes, thank you.
Okay.
Response. Yes.
Okay.
I'm getting pretty good response there because they're handwritten, they open and they are calling. The issue is that I put a pad life number, right? So it goes to the pad life, and I use some service that essentially records all those calls. And when I listen, and I see that response is pretty high. It's probably like a 20%, I would say, maybe like 25, right? But as soon as Pad Life says, "Hi, this is Pad, was I buy houses? How can I help you?" And they just like, "Oh, that's the company," because on that yellow letter I says, "Hi, my name is Lucky. My wife Guada and I would like to purchase your property at 123 Main Street." So it's very personal, right? The letter is very personal. So they think, oh, that's some real person is sending the letter, and then they got a response. Hi, this is Pat. Was I buy houses? How can I help you? And they're just like, oh, you guys one of those companies. We thought you are some private individual because it says Lucky, and I thought there is someone wants to buy my house, but it's you guys. And then I called them back. We have some decent conversation, but they're on a very defensive mode after that. Do you think, Barbara, that's just the numbers game, and some of them is gonna be like that, or you would just suggest to put my number and me answer those calls? But I don't really want to answer those calls. I want Pet Life to pre-screen them. But what is your opinion on this kind of?
My opinion is, or my comment is that, first of all, how do you know that they're saying that? Did you call them and test them? Pat Live?
Oh yeah, because as I just mentioned, all those calls are being recorded, and I have an access to the recording.
Okay. So my comment is this. As far as I know, that's what they are supposed to be saying. Ron LeGrand has the script, and you tell Pat Live to use the wrong script. As far as I know, the script says, "Hi, Lucky's not available right now. Do you have a house for sale?"
Oh, wow, that's a good one.
So, whatever you put on the letter, I'm assuming you put your personal name on the letter. So then that's what they should be saying. So I would call Pat Live and I would question that and ask them, are you using the Ron LeGrand script? And that's what my understanding is you're supposed to say.
Okay,
I don't
so
know where they got your company name, or
from
maybe
me.
you told them. Okay, well, maybe you told them the wrong thing.
You know what? Do you know what, why I told them? Barbara, can
Okay,
you hear me?
Jonathan, there was an offer that you guys sent to me on my listing, and I want to find out what's the way forward. I mean, how many days now? 4 days, 5 days? I haven't heard anything.
Sorry,
from them. I'm expecting
Lanra,
this
can you
morning,
put yourself on the mute, please?
but,
Lanra?
I need to do
Landry,
next.
hey Landry, can you put yourself on mute, please, until you have a question for us? We're hearing your other conversation. Love
My
to
name is
take your
Landry
questions.
Balakiwa, Lanre.
Okay, well, anyway, Lucky,
Atiwa.
Landry,
That
hello.
address is, let's see,
Okay, so Lucky,
15823
I guess I'll just have to talk over
Elmside
at Lucky for
Hill
now. Can
Drive.
you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you very good, Barbara.
Okay,
The
I have a
reason-
loud voice, so
And me too. The
Okay
reason
with
why
that.
hopefully we're gonna speak a little bit louder than Lanra. So
I'm pretty
essentially,
loud. So
yeah.
here's my
So-
comment. Did you tell them what to say, or did you
Yes, I did. Do you know
okay.
why?
Why?
Because as I told you, I was putting a lot of abandoned signs, so I wanted to have that anonymity, so the city wouldn't get who is putting them. Because I got some calls from the city, so that's why I told Pet Life, just put this. Hey, this is I buy houses. How can I help you? So just to be kind of like like a company. But now, even though I put my name Lucky. The city is not gonna know who the heck is Lucky anyway, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
can you please tell me
I didn't get
one more?
I didn't see any missed calls.
Can you tell me
Go ahead.
one more time, please? That script that I should pull should
Just
tell Pet Life.
yeah, just get in touch with Pat Live and tell him to use the Ron LeGrand script. And it basically
5297.
just says, hi, Lucky's not
Yeah.
available right now. Do you have a house for sale? Something like
Alright.
that. It's probably in your book. It should be in the quick start manual. I think the script's there. It used to be. But if you contact Pat Live and you just ask
Doesn't
him
matter.
what's the Ron
Both.
LeGrand script, then they can tell you
Either
too.
one is fine.
Understood. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Landry,
That's actually
You're welcome.
L-E-N-R-E.
very
Sorry, no, let me
helpful.
give you, yeah.
It's more like
L-R-E-B
it's more
as in
personal.
boy. The number
I'm
11.
sorry, I'm having a hard
Okay,
time
yeah,
hearing you.
that's fine.
Landry, can you hear me? Hello, hello.
Okay. All right.
Landry, could you please mute your phone?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No, he says thank you to that person on the line, not to
Oh,
you, Barbara.
okay. All right.
Lanre?
Did that answer your question, Lucky?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it did answer. Thank you so much, Barbara.
You're welcome. So who else has a question?
I just have a quick question. The Los Angeles event, is it now virtual?
No, it's in person. I mean, is it virtual in addition? I do know that it is in person, so you will go there in person to the quick start, but I don't know for sure if it's also virtual. So to answer that question, then you probably want to call customer service and ask them that question. Do you have that phone number?
I do. It used to be, I know it used to be in person, but I just saw it on your website that it's now virtual. So that's why I'm just curious. It just, I know it was supposed to be personal, but
Oh, okay.
the website says now it's virtual. I can send you a screenshot if you want to.
Okay, well then, I'm not in customer service, Zoltan, so I would suggest calling in, and asking them just to confirm that, customer service. Do you have
Hi,
the
Barbara.
number for them?
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
I got an email saying that it's canceled in person in
Oh,
LA.
okay. It's going to be virtual.
Yes, because of the flights and stuff.
Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you for pointing that out. And I guess that's the answer to the question. I didn't get that email, so I wasn't sure. So that's the answer. So now you have the opportunity to see it virtual if you weren't able to attend in person.
And that's actually not bad.
Excuse me?
That's good thing, actually, yes.
It is a good thing. It opens it up to more opportunities for more people to participate virtually. So I would just call and get signed up, and then you have that opportunity to see it virtually. Yeah, that's a good point with the government shutdown and the flight still in limbo. What's going to happen? Then yeah, that makes sense.
Barbara,
Did you?
I have a question. One
Okay,
more.
go ahead.
Came up. Sorry, I cannot turn on my camera, so I apologize.
That's okay. Your
Uh,
picture looks great. You're just still
yeah,
just as handsome in your picture on the screen.
yeah. Thank you so much, Barbara. Barbara, so right now, right, there are a lot of houses that it's nice houses. The sellers, they cannot make those payments. The payments are pretty high, and in many cases, they are a little bit more than the monthly rent, or even like way more than the monthly rent, right? So I don't want to say back in the days, but let's say 3 or 4 years ago, that wouldn't be such a problem, because three or 4 years ago and earlier, those payments, the interest rate was pretty low, so the payments, they were also very reasonable, so it was that wouldn't be a problem to take over basically that mortgage and make those payments, and you still would have probably 3, 4, 5, 6 or more $100 cash flow per month, right? So right now it's it's almost impossible to have a positive cash flow in those houses that were sold in the last couple of years when their interest rates went up. So basically, what would you suggest to do with those houses? Would you suggest, so let's say if the payment is very close to the rent and there is very little equity, you would still suggest to buy that house and just to play like a long game, that house will definitely make you a lot of money, but that will be like 5 or 10 years from now, not like today or tomorrow or next year. Or what's your opinion on that?
We have to
And
take each one individually. You look at your market. What's your market doing? Maybe your market's pretty stable. Maybe it's drastically reducing. Maybe it's going up. In a lot of areas around the country, believe it or not, it's still increasing. So you have to look at each thing individually. And just because I mean, I'm assuming you're thinking of the ones that have low equity because they bought a few years ago that the interest
yes,
rates are just high. So look at it individually and say, well, what can I do with this? Is it a really nice house? Does it need anything? Is it newer? Is it in good shape? What do you think I can do with it? And that's a good point. You might want to plug in a financial calculator and see what the payments would be like now if they were to go get a loan for 5% something, 5, 6%, what the going rate is now, and see what the payments would be accordingly. Because you don't know exactly what they did or how much they put down or whatever. But so I would look and see what the payment might be if someone were to come and get a new loan these days, and then look at the current market value of rent, because if the payment would still be, if the seller's payment would still be less than what be able to go get a new loan for, then it still gives incentive to the tenant buyer to do that rather than getting a loan, especially when they can't qualify for a loan. So they still have incentive. And so you got to look at each one individually, objectively. If the seller's giving it to you and no money down, then, and you think that the value will sustain, then you can get a non-refundable option deposit from your tenant buyer that would then cover, you know, you.
Good afternoon, this is
year.
Henry Boletiwa. I got a text from you regarding the offer that we,
So
were supposed
that's
to give
one
me kind of
option
offer
that
after
you
inspection
could
for
do
15823
for seeing
Adams
if you can
Side Beach
cash
Drive.
flow more, if you could get a
And he
non-refundable
said that
option
the
deposit.
schedule, for me to schedule
Hey,
time to receive the
Landry,
offer, but
Jeremy,
I really don't understand what that means.
Landry,
I went in there, I didn't see anything.
he's zoned out.
Can you please
He's
give me
on
a
the
call, let
call,
me know
but
what's
zoned
going
out
on?
and has no idea that his phone is not muted. I'm sorry,
650-5294.
guys, for the rest of you.
Thank you.
There's really not a lot. Hey, Landry, are you there, Landry?
Yes.
Sir, would you please mute your phone when you're not
Oh,
on the call because we're hearing your conversations?
sorry.
No problem. We want to hear, I want to answer your questions and I'd love for you to participate and ask questions, but it is disrupted for the others that are on the call because we're hearing your other conversation.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, if you'll want to join in and ask a question, be happy to answer. So Lucky, back to your question. Let's see, where was I? I was going to say that the other thing that you could do is possibly do a lease with an option to buy and get an assignment fee where then it's, you know, there isn't any spread monthly and there isn't any equity. And so therefore that you might be able to get an assignment fee and then just exit out of it, do an axe like. So there are still some options and you just got to see what you can do and look at it each one individually. Obviously you want a really nice house that you think is going to sell pretty quick and that you think is going to be sellable and desirable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense, Barbara. That house that I have right now, I'm working with, that's 1,600 square feet, built in 2023. So it's a nice house, and he's not gonna live there anymore, and he doesn't want to do that. The payment is 1,800, and that's basically what the market can bear around that number. You know, it's between 16 to 18, but it's very nice house. It's kind of classic house, right, in the cookie cutter neighborhood, and
Right.
it's a nice little town close to my town. So usually when the house is new and nice, usually it shouldn't be that problem to find someone to put in a house, right?
Exactly. And you got a couple exit strategies that I mentioned. So therefore, sometimes you can just let the seller know that that they are in a situation where, gosh, you know, your payments about what market will bear. So I'm going to take it out to the market and see what I can do and not have, well, I mean, if you think you can do something with it and market and find your tenant buyer, if not, and you just want to take it out there and let them know that you might, that's exactly what you're going to do. And then when you find that buyer, then you'll close on it. So, you have options to see what you can do.
Thank you. But for the long run, so let's say if rent payment is very close to his mortgage, there is very little equity, but for the long run, it's definitely a win, right? If I want to keep it for the long run, I cannot. How can I lose here?
Well, I mean,
I'm just wondering.
not likely, because the thing is, if you're buying on owner financing and you have a long term, then you have
Basically,
options.
29 years. 29
20
years.
years, exactly.
29.
Okay, so you got 29 years. You could take it to the market as long as you can get that payment covered. You know, you always have the option of getting the non-refundable option deposit and putting them in there for a year or two and doing it again. That's one cash flow that you know, or that's one cash opportunity for revenue that you know of. And then the worst case scenario is, I guess you could always give it back to the seller. There's not much you can do to get the payment reduced, but so if you think that you can make it work, then there's a lot of potential in there. So it's worth a shot and give it a try. As
Yeah,
long as
I
it's a
think.
nice sellable house. And this sounds like it would be.
Yeah, you know, and I gotta get started, right? I have to start. I have to make my first pre-house, so I'm pretty excited, you know.
Exactly. And so we don't know what the
Yes.
market's going to do. We don't know if it's going to keep going down, if it's going to keep going up. We don't know, but You have to go on your first, you go with your best hunch and try to make it work. And Ron takes away the risk. So it's not, the loan's not in your name. He does everything possible to take that risk away from you. So you as an investor have the best opportunity to profit from that. And so you have to walk in good faith to try to make it work when you think that it's going to be some potential for a good deal there. And again, like I mentioned, there are some exit strategies that are available to you. You've got not only buying it, but you've got lease option that could work too. And then therefore you're not closing and you're not doing any closing costs to deed trust and transfer. And so therefore you may just assign it. So I'd say try to market it and see what response you get from your tenant buyers. And you should probably know ahead of time if you can, if you have that opportunity to try to line up some tenant buyers, put some signs out and such, as you know to do.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barbara.
You're welcome.
I appreciate your answer. And in general, it's all case by case. Each house is individual, and all those payments they're also different. So everyone has to be looked up closely. Okay, thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of course.
your
Barbara, can I
answer.
also ask
Bye.
a question?
Sure, absolutely. But let me just say this, of course, lucky, if it's a pretty house and it doesn't need repairs, then you're less likely to have to put money into it. And so therefore that takes away the risk. But also if you sell it to a tenant buyer and you get a non-refundable option deposit and you have a little bit of money to play with for such as that. Okay. Yes. Randy, go for it.
Sultan.
Hey, Barbara.
Sultan. Okay. Yes.
Okay,
I'm
I don't know.
sorry. There's a
Oh,
hand
yeah.
held by Randy.
Okay, got it. I didn't do that. Let me see how I can do this myself.
All right.
I
Go
did
ahead.
do that.
You're up, Sultan. What
Go ahead.
Well, Randy put up his hand. I can wait for
Okay.
Randy, but after that, I'm coming.
Okay, Randy, it's all you, buddy.
All right. So, Barbara, do you guys have an attorney that you prefer to work with out of Arkansas?
I don't know. Ron has some attorneys that he recommends or that he has worked with before, and it would be on the Gold Club. You can look and see if there's a list of attorneys, and one might be in Arkansas. And
Okay.
if so, it would be on the Gold Club. And if not, then I'd say no. But it should be pretty easy. Are you a member of your local RIA group meeting? Are you a local
Yes.
RIA? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
member
the
of a
best thing
couple
to
of
do,
them.
the best thing to do would be to talk to people at your local RIA and ask
Oh.
them for a recommendation for an investor-friendly attorney that's used to doing owner financing, lease purchases, land trust, and such.
Yeah. Well, the only problem with that is I'm in the land of Mussolini, so I'm not in Arkansas, but I'm going to acquire some parcels with mobile homes in Arkansas. My next question was, have you sold on contract mobile homes that are not attached? So they're not attached as a permanent, so it's not land.
Well, all mobile homes, unless they're on their own property, in other words, deeded to a land and not, unless they're deeded to land as opposed to being in a mobile home park, then a mobile home is just personal property. If it's on land, then it's real estate. So
Now, my
what's your specific
understanding
question?
is if it's on land, but it's not on a permanent foundation, it's still considered personal property.
Well, it should be born on the property and anchored down completely. And so,
Yeah, the only thing is we're interested in selling the mobile home, but we're not interested in selling the land.
okay. So what would be your question on that? Then if you're just selling the mobile home, then you're selling personal property. And so you wouldn't use the purchase and sale agreement that Ron uses. You would use just a personal property agreement. Your attorney
So a
can do that
personal,
for you.
yeah, personal property, just
It would,
so a
absolutely.
promissory note attached as a personal
Yes,
property.
promissory note. That's what I was looking for.
Okay. All right, that was a question I had.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have you done much with mobile home sales?
No,
No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
I haven't. I know Ron has and many other investors have, and lots of them have, but I personally haven't.
Okay.
I'd rather just stick with the real estate and not the personal property like mobile homes that depreciate. But there can be good opportunity there if you get the right deal.
Yeah, well, we're looking at this as a finance play, so an interest rate spread on the
Okay.
mobile homes. The land we're going to keep, so we think the land will do well going long down the road long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck to you, Randy.
Thank you. Good talking with you.
You too. Okay, Zoltan, your turn.
Okay,
Your turn.
so,
You're up.
yeah. So here's the story, Barbara. There's this 79-year-old gentleman. I've known him for many years, and I was just talking with him on church. It turned out he has a listing. I mean, not he didn't list it. He found a realtor. So I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. And basically, it's a duplex. So a duplex, but I mean, obviously, the problem is it's very difficult. I mean, it's hardly possible to find a comp on it because there's no duplexes in the area, right? And I mean, it was built in 1999, a relatively good condition. You can see it's not in the best area, but it's not in a bad area either. So it's kind of a blue collar kind of, but safe neighborhood kind of. I mean, I was walking there, but the one concern I have is a couple of concerns. One, there's a railroad track about 6 houses away. That would be the smaller problem. The bigger problem is that I don't know where, but close by there's two intersections, and by law the railroad has to, sound the horn. And so, I mean, that's a concern for me. I mean, he bought it for 260K. And now he listed it at 425. He said he would sell it for 400,000. But the thing is, I mean, I was kind of talking with him about the terms. I mean, I guess I'm kind of inexperienced. So we agreed on a 5% interest rate for a 5-year term, which I think the interest rate was okay because on the market could only get an interest rate of 7%, right? And I could theoretically get an interest of 5 from him. But then I realized the five-year term is just too short, because in 5 years, I mean, I was planning to put down 7% on it, or 7.5. I would basically to get a, like, I mean, he's 79 years old, so I know what Ron says, who's your brother, not to go to the bank or anything like that, because it's gonna risk your marriage and risk everything, right? But I mean, my idea was if I could get to 25% equity, I could refinance. But I realized in 5 years, I'm not going to get there, And I mean, not only that, I mean, the realtor made the mess because, I mean, I guess we didn't talk about the, amortization rate. But I was thinking, yeah, 30-year. Well, the realtor put together paperwork where he was talking about, 5-year full amortization. I'm like, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
So I mean, the problem, I mean, I don't know what to do because, like, I mean, I have concerns, right? Because I mean, I known this guy for many years. Who's one of the few people in that church that are, we have something to talk about. Everybody else is sort of a semi-loser in that church. And so, I mean, I mean, I don't know what to do because, I mean, if, it's, I mean, I would be barely break even. But if I think about it would, if I make the payment, I mean, I prepared basically several scenarios, but the bottom line is, I think he wants the money fast because he's 79 years old. So why he doesn't want to have, like, I don't know how too many years of amortization, but 5 years is not, it's too short. I told him, listen, I could do it for 10 years at 2.5% interest. But then the realtor is like, no, that's not good. I'm like, okay, well, then what is doable? And then they wouldn't say it, and then I don't know, I ran into him again at church because now the problem is that he is a realtor. Theoretically, I could only talk to him through the realtor, theoretically, right? So what's your input? I mean, yeah, and then, obviously the train intersection that is, I don't know how far it is, but maybe a quarter of a mile. So, I mean, it's, I mean, it's not cookie cutter, but it's not bad house. It looks nice and, I mean, I don't know if you have any kind of an input. I mean, I guess I can send you the listing if you want to, but I mean, I know it's hard to say anything, but what can you say about that, you know?
Okay, so all I got to say about that is, so first of all, he's got a realtor, so that's where you're going to get your comps. Ask the realtor to give you comps. So,
Well, the problem is, I mean, I have a real estate license too. So I
okay,
tried, I mean, I'm not, I mean, you are a realtor, but I don't make my living as a realtor. I just have a license. So I looked at comps
okay,
and there are no comps in the area. There are no comps. There's no
no
duplexes in
sold,
the, no
none
duplexes,
sold.
no zero duplexes in the area, zero. So I
Okay,
think if you look at the average square feet price, then yeah, 400,000 is the average square feet price in the area, but those are for single family homes.
right.
So
And a single family home is going to be worth more than the duplex. So you can't compare that as far as value because really the duplex has less square footage, 2 units. Not, you don't compare
the
that
problem is, the problem is he bought it for 260 5 years ago. Or so for
okay.
so he made in 5 years 140 grand, plus he collected all the rent. That's another 140 grand or 120. So we're talking about he made in 5 years 250 grand minus here and there he spent a little money on it. So that's 5 years. That's very nice money for little work, you know.
Okay, well, it's kind of irrelevant what he made. We're talking about now. And you asked, what can you do? Well, first of all, it's got to definitely make sense for you. So if you don't get a deal that makes sense for you, then you definitely don't want to do it. And so going back to him and finding what terms will work is important. So you're now dealing with the realtor. Can you talk to, well, you said you met the seller at church. So you obviously know the seller.
Yeah, I've known him
You
for
can
many
talk to
years.
him
That's why
directly.
correct. That's why this whole
Okay,
thing came up. Like I also have a real estate license, so I have to be careful,
exactly.
but because we ran into again in each other at church and the other
Right.
realtor, like the realtor was, I mean, I'm like, he's like, no, it's not doable. I'm like, so she's like, send us another offer. I'm like, I don't want to send you guys just like offers. Let's talk about what would be doable. And then there was just no answer. So it's like, what kind of a realtor are you? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't understand. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
then she has to get with him and you have to get with him and find out what he will do within your realm. You can make suggestions. Obviously, you did. You wanted 10 years at 2.5%, and she said no, or he said no. And so what will you do then? You don't
yeah,
want
and
that.
as I said, at 400 grand, there's no equity. I mean, that's you know at the most. You know what I mean? And you know, I mean, and you know, I
And
mean,
and it doesn't make sense for you to do it, so you shouldn't. And so therefore, if you don't have some equity and you don't have some good terms, then the deal doesn't make sense.
yeah. Well, the only way it makes sense if you're able to buy it at a very low interest rate. So that's kind of where your money is, so to say. You know what I mean? Like at a very low interest rate, and then you know.
Sounds like you still got to work on it. It doesn't sound like he has a lot of options or a lot of people that are interested at this
No,
time.
no, no.
So,
I don't think so. I mean, I think they gotta come to their senses. And
right.
unfortunately, from one of the units, one of them is not rented currently. And you know, I actually knew somebody who could have been a very good tenant there, was actually looking and was desperately looking for a place. And I told her to check the place out. She went there and she got scared away because of the train.
Well, that's
So
another thing that I was going to comment. You've got a couple undesirables there with the train and the intersection. And so that's going to bring the value down and the desirability for renters. So maybe that is going to bring your rents down, or someone that I'm assuming you're trying to buy it to keep it and then rent it for. Okay, so you got to
yes.
look at that as well. What can you rent it for, and what, yeah, obviously, what are you going to bring in? So what are you going to pay out? And so that's going to be a big factor.
Yeah.
And
So the problem is the train passes by there like 6 or 8 times a day, right? And if the train just passes by you and the door is closed, there's barely you can hear it, but it's really minimal. But the problem is if the train sounds the horn, I mean and then in the seller disclosure form, they said that oh they are not aware of train noise. That's nonsense. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I mean, that's not good. You know what I mean? So, I mean, unless I'm able to get like a really sweet deal, I'm just not gonna do it. And the other problem is, like, from what I learned, because let's say if somebody gets a regular mortgage, they can't do it 15 or 20% down. It has to be 25% down because it's not a single family home, it's a duplex. So, I mean, if for a $400,000 house to put down 100 grand, I mean, that's gonna be very hard to find anybody. The only reason he was able to do it because he paid cash of 260 5 years ago, and he's making a sweet deal on it no matter what, you know.
So you might want to look at the rental histories, Alton, to see what the history has been. What's it been renting? Has it been rented consistently? And how much has it been renting for? So you have a good history of what people are willing to pay. That might be a factor there. So you know what rent
Yeah.
you
So
can
in other
expect.
words, I need to get from him all his previous tenant administration, of the past 5 years. I mean, normally I'm a very well organized person. Normally I would have that, but honestly, these people, I mean, they are not using the computer every single day, or they don't save files in an organized fashion on a computer. So, to get his current rental agreement was, it took some time. They don't, if you tell them, hey, I want your insurance paperwork, I want your whatever, then it takes days until they are able to put together to send it to you, through multiple channels. Somebody has to scan it for them, all that stuff. They are not, running around like I would be in a computer. 2 seconds, you got it.
Exactly. The other thing you want to compare is the rentals in that area, other rentals, just for, even if you can't find any comps for duplexes, for houses that are the same size as one side, and figure out what they're renting for, because they're near the train tracks, they're near the interstate. And then you could get more for a single than you can for a duplex, but that might give you some comparison and see how they're renting. Are they turning over really quick because people don't want to live there? Are they pretty?
Yeah, well, I mean,
So,
listen, the other unit is rented for 1,200, so I'm not gonna, he's like, oh yeah, well, maybe you can rent it for 1,300. I'm like, no, obviously you gotta go with the conservative number, and that's 1,200 max. So as I said, I mean, I think it's gonna be hard for him to find a buyer because they have to put down 100 grand.
agree. So
That's not.
therefore, he's going to be a lot more willing to do terms when he can't do that, and may say no now. But I think that very soon, then that's going to change. And so you want to do a deal that's good for you and find out what he is willing to do. And if it doesn't make sense now, then
The problem is, I mean, he's 79 years old, so I assume he wants his money quickly, obviously. But the thing
well,
is, I
maybe
mean,
not assume that. You'd be surprised, because what's he going to do with the money if he gets it even at 79? Is he going to go on some lavish vacations? Is he going to go buy another house? But you'd find out, well, what you're planning. So the money will still come to you. If you don't live that long, then you have estate planning in place, right? You're going to pass it on to your heirs anyway, right? So that's not always a factor that they want the cash. Maybe he's already established and doesn't need the cash, and that's just
yeah. I mean, he's a kind of well off, He just, I mean,
exactly.
he's well off, but he right now he doesn't have too much cash in the bank. He has larger cash flow from all kinds of. He has large cash flow, but he doesn't have much cash now. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, it's
So.
all just a matter of what works for him and what works for you, and you got to
I
get
know,
a
yeah.
little bit
I'm
of things
gonna
to
sit
do.
down, but I mean, I'm just, it really has to be a very sweet deal. I mean, because I was
Yes.
thinking, because the thing is, like, this house has good parking spot, but it doesn't have, like, what is it called? Parking, not a garage, but the other one.
Carport.
Yeah, it doesn't have a carport. So I was thinking, I remember this video once I did with Dove the Roos. I don't know if you know the guy. He's also like Ron, and he's always like, yeah, build a carport if there's no carport, because that's very valuable, especially in Arizona, right, where I am. So it's like there's an opportunity to basically small money but massively increase the property value. You know what I mean? Like, kind of a.
Yeah, but you still want to get a good deal going in. So,
Yeah,
and
correct.
again,
Okay.
if you can't force him to do something until you know what he wants. And Ron will always tell you, well, what do you want? You don't, what do you want? What are you gonna tell me you
Yeah, well,
want?
that's what I told the realtor. Like, let me know what you want. And
Exactly.
It's just disappeared. I'm like, what kind of realtor are you? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, you know.
Well,
Thank you.
all I can say is a little bit of patience. I guess they're not ready yet, but maybe later. So that's follow up.
Thank you, Barbara. You're awesome.
Thank you. I think you know what to do. Your gut will tell you. You know that you need terms to make it work, and you know it's just not now. So maybe next week.
Honestly, I think if I would get 2.5% interest, that's pretty sweet with the right price, you know? Yeah. It's at least 10 years, right? Not 5.
Yes. So like I said, you can't always assume that they need to cash out because at that age, you don't know. So
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. You're awesome.
you're welcome. Who else has a question? Anybody else?
Yes, I have. Actually, essentially, Randy was ahead of me, but he's not speaking. Maybe he's gonna go ahead. Randy? No, whatever. Then I'm
for
gonna
it.
go. Yes, thank you. Barbara,
I made me think of another question overall.
yeah. Essentially, I had many questions, and I told myself I have to put them on the paper, and I did put some of them, and some of them they just vanished. So
Okay.
yes, whatever for next time. So when essentially the seller he's gonna cancel his insurance right before the closing, and I have to get my non-owner occupied through that insurance that is now a manual.
Yes.
In that insurance, I put my my LLC as trustee that insures the house, or beneficiary. The LLC beneficiary has to be on that policy. How does that work, Barbara? Which LLC should I put on that policy?
You are buying it in a land trust, your LLC.
Correct. Into land trust, but there are 2 LLCs. One LLC is a beneficiary of the land trust, and another LLC is a trustee that signs purchase and sales agreement. So which
The
one should
trustee
be?
makes the payments.
Trustee makes the payments.
Yes.
Okay, a trustee makes the payment to the insurance. And can I make that payment from my another LLC to that insurance or no? Can I use my LLC B to make a payment for that insurance, or I have to use LLC D that is a trustee? Remember those 4 LLCs, right? LLC A. So we're not talking about that LLC A. There is B.
When you put it in a land trust, whatever LLC is the trustee, then that trustee can make the payments. If you go to sell the property, then the proceeds are going to go to that trustee.
What about beneficiary?
Well, you're controlling that entity. But the
Okay.
title company, they're going to look at that. They're going to commonly want to make the payment to the trustee. So you have to oversee that.
Because my LLC D, that is D as in dog, that is as trustee, that utility LLC doesn't have a bank account yet. Do you think it might be an issue?
It's easy to get a bank account. That's not a problem at all. Because your LLC any LLC will have an EIN number.
Yes, all of them, they have a EIN number.
EIN number.
EIN, yes.
Yes. So
Yes, but
that's what you have the trustee for, is to manage those payments.
yeah, because you see that's where I got a little bit confused. I know it's not that confusing, but I got confused. So I have my land trust, right? The land trust, one LLC is LLC C as in cat is a beneficiary of a land trust, and LLC D as in dog is a trustee. So when I'm gonna buy the house, that will be D as a trustee. So when I'm gonna buy that insurance policy for that house, can my LLC be as an boy pay that policy or no? It has to be paid by that one that is trustee.
B, I don't know about B, but, you
For
work
insurance
with it.
uh,
Go ahead.
sorry. No, I'll shut up. Apologize. You're not supposed to
I
talk.
would recommend that the trustee, the LLC that's the trustee, make the payment.
Okay, thank you.
They're the one on public record and they're the ones that usually handle the payment.
So essentially, trustee makes the payment.
The LLC
Understood.
trustee.
LLC trustee. And when I collect that rent from the tenant buyer, that rent will go to the beneficiary bank account or to the trustee?
Trustee.
All
That's
to
the
trustee.
management. That's the management.
Understood. And also when I'm gonna lease purchase this house to a tenant buyer, also trustee will be as a lessor, correct?
Yes.
Understood. So essentially
Because
trustee
you're buying it from that LLC and then you are making them the trustee on public record. Well, in the land trust, it's going to be that LLC as trustee.
Got it. So essentially trustee also will lease that house to potential tenant buyer, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yes. And I think may make one comment. I don't know if I'm in a position to make a comment. May make one comment though. I
Sure.
think that from what I heard, that Zoltan's deal, I think it's not a deal yet.
Right.
It sounds like the seller is trying to get the best for him, and the Zoltan is just trying to make. Basically, the Ron has one saying about Caesar salad and chickens and something else. That's basically what it is, Zoltan. This thing is just good for the seller, and you're not benefiting nothing. You don't get seller's problems on your back, because then you will regret.
He knows that. He just didn't internalize it, but now he does. He heard himself say that, right, Zoltan? And he knows that it's not a deal yet.
Yeah, I heard it. I think you're completely right. It's not a deal yet. And yeah, basically probably he wants to get rid of it because yeah, he doesn't want to deal with tenants. And I'm gonna get all that problem. Oh yeah, the other thing I forgot to tell you that unfortunately the water is master metered. So
It's
that's
what?
the water is master metered.
A master meter?
Metered, yeah. In other
Okay.
words, there's one water bill that comes to him.
Oh,
He
I
pays the
see.
water, and then he texts the two tenants to pay half. But I mean, that sucks. I don't want to be texting paying the water bill and texting the tenant to, I mean, it costs several $1,000s to fix that problem, to have individually metered units with the water. So that's,
Right.
I mean, it's, I agree. It's not a deal.
Well, sometimes you can just incorporate the water into the rent payment as long as the tenant knows that, and then
Well, I mean, they're not gonna be very, they can just leave the
not be
water on.
conservative. That's correct. If they're not responsible for it themselves. I totally agree.
So yeah, I agree with you. Lucky you said that it's not a deal. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but
It's gonna be deal in the future if you just wait. Like Barbara said, just be patient, and it was the time and circumstances changes everyone's minds, right, Barbara?
That's right.
Yeah, you just
yeah,
gotta
doesn't
go
sound-
and if he finds a buyer, I'm happy for it.
Yeah,
you just gotta-
exactly. It doesn't sound like a very desirable deal for any buyer at this point, and he'll come to that realization and he'll be more motivated.
Mm.
Barbara, I have one more question. That will be super quick, right? Thank you. She's smiling. But Barbara, when I buy the house and I get the ownership and I have to turn on all those electrical bills and all of that, and when I call those companies, the electrical company and the water company, should I tell just my name, or again, should I just give my LLC as trustee?
LLC.
LLC as trustee?
You are not the LLC. You're two different people, two different entities. So you bought it in the LLC as trustee. You put it in the land trust, in other words, with the seller. So it's your LLC, not you as individual. That's the whole premise of all this, is you don't want to be personally liable. It's your LLC.
So essentially, my LLC also will basically, I will call as a manager of the LLC, and that when they turn the meter on, I have to give a card, my basically business card or bank account from that LLC as trustee, so they will charge electrical bill, correct?
Yes. And water.
And what? Thank you. That's it, Barbara. I'm done.
Okay. I'm here for you if you have any more questions, though. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, I'm gonna say going once, going twice, going 3 times. I guess nobody has any other questions, so we'll go for it, Lucky.
One more question. I know this is a joke. No more questions.
I'm
Barbara.
sorry. Yeah, I actually also have a question. I was
Okay.
just really curious, what is new with Ron nowadays? Because I'm sorry, I've been out for a few months. So what's new in your company or Ron's company's world nowadays? Like what is happening? I mean, this phone call is once a month, right?
You have the Q&A call for Gold Club members. That is the second Monday of the month, and the fourth Monday of the month is for Quick Start grads. So yes, and as I mentioned on the beginning of the call, to look at opportunities, go to ronlegrand.com/QA. That's a site where if you have questions, you can talk to an advisor about signing up for virtual and for the quick start. And I know next week there's a commercial. So what's new in Ron's world? He just got the new facility in Jacksonville where he has the training facility, moved it. So he's got a nice training facility in Jacksonville for the quick start seminars, boot camps that he's doing. So a lot of great things are happening. There are services available for the virtual assistants, the delete services that they can source leads for you and do all kinds of things. So I encourage all of you to talk to the advisors on that link and go over any questions that you have and anything that you're looking for, then they can help direct you and tell you of any potential opportunities that are available and that you might be interested in. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end the call. I was going to tell you again the link, but I just did. So you have the link, ronlegrand.com/QA. And I want to say good night. I hope all of you have, let's see, this is November 10th. I hope all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If I don't get to see or talk to you ahead of time, we have a lot to be thankful for. And I encourage you to look at those blessings and go out there and make it happen. Take some action, get some calls, get some deals, just go for it. So wish you all the best. And I'm going to say good night.